Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Annie and I'm here on the internet to help turn your hair into your favorite accessory. Today we're going to be talking about how to get your best hair of your life in 2025. Okay, we're going to be talking about practical tips, advice. I'm not going to recommend any products because most of the time it's not the products themselves, it's how you're using them or not using them. And I just feel like there's a lot of information out there on the internet that is unnecessary, unrealistic for a lot of people in their normal day-to-day lives because we're busy, okay? I am not going to sit with a hair mask in my house for 5 hours and to do all of these things. I don't have time. I can barely wash my hair normally with my kids, okay? So these are going to be realistic tips. Later on in this series, I'll kind of get into like assessing your hair where it's at, your hair goals, and all this kind of stuff, recommend products so we can have a really good hair routine. But today it's just tips that you can start today to lead up to the hair care routine, okay? So you might be thinking, who is this girl and how does she have any like credentials? Well, in 2020, I bleached the shiz out of my hair and I had to chop it, and it was dry, it was stringy, it was disgusting looking. And so after that, I was on a hair care journey, and I have been for 6+ years. And don't mind my hair today. I thought I had Irish curls, but I don't know, so it's not really doing anything. Okay, but let's just get into the video. Okay, so when you start a hair care journey, you really want to assess where your hair is at. How does it feel? How does it look? How does it like wash? What do you notice when you use products? What does your hair do? And also understand your hair type. So assessing your hair is so important. Then you can kind of go from there for hair goals. Okay, we'll have a separate video on this, but just to kind of get your head in the game. Okay, the basics of hair care. The first thing is you need to cut back on your bleaching. When you bleach your hair, you are breaking down the bonds in your hair that has the pigment, the color, so that you can go lighter, okay? And when you break it down, you're breaking your hair. So we need to repair that and just lessen how many times we are breaking those bonds over and over again. That's why you want to choose a hair color and a hair process that is going to let you extend the time between the salon visits when you're bleaching your hair. I only bleach my hair 2 times a year, and I love being blonde, okay? Blonde is me, it's my personality. I try to go brunette and I'm just like, who is she? So I get it. I do more of a balayage and just kind of focus more on like the front of my hair, and it grows out nicely so it's not like super like harsh and I don't have to go in all the time, okay? Also find a hairstylist that's gonna work with you and your hair goals so that they know, do not re-bleach my ends. Don't keep bleaching and going over and over. Where we lived before here, I had the perfect hairstylist. She could get me as blonde as possible without damaging my hair. Like genius, okay? So if you can find somebody like that, that's gonna be perfect. You can also, of course, use a bond repair treatment. Most people don't really need the full like hair system repair system unless your hair is kind of what I described in mine 2020, where it was like white, blonde, stringy, all that kind of stuff. Most of the time you can just get away with a treatment, which is like the K18 leave-in treatment or the living proof triple bond treatment. Okay, so usually you wash your hair and then you like scrunch it into your ends and you don't use conditioner, that kind of thing. Okay, so cut back on the bleach, number 1. Next is heat damage. Okay, heat damage is inevitable. We still want to live our lives while getting the best hair, okay? So I would say cut back on how much you are heat styling your hair, or just make sure you use a really good heat protectant, maybe even 2. A heat protectant when your hair is wet, and then a heat protectant when your hair is dry. When you are using a heat protectant in wet hair to like blow dry, look for a blow dry cream. And then that'll help not only like prolong the blowout, but also protect the heat. And then of course, when you're like curling your hair and straightening it or whatever, try to space it out and maybe only use heat 1 time a week if you can. I know sometimes people can't, but that is going to help. And when you use a heat protectant spray, make sure you are covering all of your hair. Lift it up, spray it, brush it out, make sure it's fully distributed. Okay, I feel like a lot of people just kind of go, I use heat protectant. Okay, girl, no, you don't, okay? So be really mindful of that. Also, practice some heatless hairstyles and heatless like curling options, okay? I know they're not for everybody. If you have finer hair, it's not always like the best to hold, but just keep trying and try to find one that will like help your style at least look decent if you don't like your natural hair air dried or whatever. I will leave my favorite method down below, and that is the unicorn heatless hair curls, or I sleep in braids. pretty much those two are it. You might need a fresh chop, okay? And I know that if you're trying to grow your hair long, you're like, that's the last thing I want. Okay, but if you haven't gotten your hair cut and it feels like your hair doesn't grow, it's because it needs to be cut, okay? Your ends are done and it's just breaking off, and it's either splitting up the hair shaft or it's just like breaking off, making it seem like your hair isn't growing. It's growing, but it just doesn't look like it, okay? So sometimes you need to go, most of the time it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then you'll be fine. Ask your hairstylist, they'll be able to say, yeah, you need to cut this much off for it to be healthy, and then you can have a fresh start and start implementing all of these things. Also, something to keep in mind is I do not do the trim every, I don't know how often they say. I do a hair dusting, okay? I have a whole blog post on how I do hair dusting at home. Essentially, it's just kind of like putting your hair through your finger and running it down, and if you see some split ends, just chopping them off. Okay, so you still have the length, but you're getting rid of some of those dead ends so that you can make it to your next hair appointment. Some people are just more prone to split ends, so they do actually need to go in and get it trimmed. Okay, but I would recommend trying hair dusting and seeing how that works. Okay, here are some game-changing hair habits that we need to start implementing. Okay, it is 2025. Okay, you need to use a silk or satin pillowcase. If you are not, you are doing your hair and your skin a disservice. People think like, oh, how can this like really work? You will help against frizz. Your hair styles will just last longer. Your hair is not going to be like having all that friction on a pillowcase when you move around. And it is just better for your skin and your hair because it's going to help with like hydration. It also helps your skin with like fine lines. So get one, okay? You don't have to get a super expensive one. I just use a satin one from Kitsch. They're really affordable and they like last through washes and dries. So, okay, please just do that. At night, put your hair up in a silk or satin scrunchie, or you can use like claw clips. I sometimes will do that too. So your hair isn't just like flying around and creating more friction and just getting frizzy and all this kind of stuff. If your hair is curly, wear it up in a pineapple with this silk scrunchie, or you can use a silk or satin bonnet. I use that when I am having my heatless curls at night just to keep everything in place. You need to wash your hair when you need it. Hair training is a myth. I know that like a few years ago it was like, how long can I go without washing my hair? Train your hair to stop being so greasy and oily. No. If your hair is greasy, if your scalp is oily, wash it. Think of your scalp as an extension of your face, okay? We wash our face once, sometimes twice a day, depending on your skin type. We need to be washing our scalp for healthy hair growth, okay? Everything starts with our scalp. So if your hair is gross and you need to wash it, freaking wash it. Don't try to go as long as you can. I understand there's some times where you're like, okay, I can't wash it, or I want it to be whatever. But it also helps with your ends, okay? So wash your hair. Your scalp health is so important, and so when you are washing your hair, make sure you double shampoo so that you're not only getting this stuff off of your scalp, but also cleansing it, okay? So that's why you need to wash it twice. Kind of like a double cleanse for your face, double cleanse for your scalp. If you don't wash your hair enough, you can get clogged hair follicles, which can make your hair fall out more than normal, excess shedding, or you can also just have like clogged follicles where your hair is thinning. So that's why you want to shampoo really good and make sure that if you need to, use a scalp serum. I've used scalp serums for years and I think that they really do work. I love the Divi and the Living Proof one. Those are the ones I use the most consistent. So it's a serum, so it's not going to make your hair greasy and oily. You can use it in the morning or night or whatever. It is water-based. So that is always going to be super helpful if you have hair shedding or thinning and you just want more of like a healthy scalp. Implement a scalp serum. Okay, and the next part is you really need to be careful with your ends. Okay, so we talked about how important the scalp is. Your ends are just as important. The ends of your hair is dead hair. Okay, so it's very, 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 very hard to repair that hair unless you're chopping it off or use like really expensive products. Most people don't really need to invest in like the really high ticket price items, okay? There's good stuff at the drugstore, but we need to be protecting our ends, and how we're gonna do that is by gently detangling our hair. Never do that, okay? Work from the bottom up. Brush your hair before you go into the shower. Detangle it when you're in the shower. Just be very gentle. And you want to make sure that you're using a leave-in conditioner after you get out of the shower. The products that you use after the shower are most important because they're staying in your hair. The ones in your shower, they're just going down the drain, okay? So you want a leave-in conditioner and that can also help with detangling. And then you also want a hair oil for the ends, okay? That's gonna help lock in the moisture from the leave-in conditioner. To wrap everything up, just remember that in order to see results, you need to be consistent, and it is a slow process. But by implementing these things, I saw results, especially with like the bleaching and like the hair dusting. I saw results within just like 4 weeks of my hair feeling a lot better because I was taking more care and just being more mindful of my hair and the products that I was using and how I was treating it, and not just roughhousing with my hair. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment, and follow me on Instagram, and if you want, Pinterest. I deleted TikTok because it was bad for my mental health. But I also do like easy hairstyles and everything like that, and also like tips and tricks here and there. So make sure that you are following along so that we can create a routine and find the right products for your hair and your lifestyle so that we can all have the best hair in 2025. Talk to you later. Bye.